way more than I had planned on spending on fucking IHOP.
Yeah, fuck IHOP.
Fuck IHOP.
That's how we're opening this cold
shit.
open. Fuck
you.
IHOP.
Fuck you,
or
man.
IHOB, whatever the fuck
you
name
wanna
change
say.
you're
Doesn't
going
matter.
through. Your identity crisis is not my identity crisis. Fix your fucking self. As they say in Letterkenny, figure it out. Heyo, hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Brotherhood Without Manners, your favorite full spoiler reread podcast of George R.R. Martin's A Song of Ice and Fire series, starting with a Game of Thrones.
You're awful. Stop that.
I'm Zach. With me, as always, is my co-host Nate.
Hey.
And here we like to analytically, as much as we can. I mean, we're not pros.
Yeah, we're kind of dumbasses.
We're kind of dumb, but we're just two guys who picked up some books one day and we're like, hey, we really like these and think we've amassed enough knowledge in our...
So when we finished reading Dr. Seuss, we found the Game of Thrones books. And we were like, fucking yeah!
Fucking love Green Eggs and Ham, you
Hell
know?
yeah, man. That's my shit.
So here we are. We're going to bring you
Honestly,
the latest chapter.
I'm more partial to There's a Locket in my pocket.
Or Here's a Who.
Locket, yeah.
You didn't even say it right.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, I'm more partial. My favorite fucking thing ever.
I didn't say favorite thing ever. I just preferred it over Green Eggs and Ham. I like the rhyme scheme better. Dr. Seuss flowed in that one.
And you got the rhyme wrong, though.
That was one of the rhymes.
You ain't Eminem.
I'm not Eminem.
You're Machine Gun Kelly at best.
At best.
Shots fired.
Dang.
Anyway, we do Game of Thrones stuff. We read each chapter of a Game of Thrones. Hopefully you'll join us and reread with us. And
if you're new, thanks for stopping by.
Yeah.
If you're rejoining us, if you're back.
Not So Silent Sisters.
Yeah.
We looking at you.
We got you.
We got some great correspondence from them this week. Again, thank you. We appreciate it. And we will jump into some of your points as we get there. Because actually, I think for the first time since they've emailed,
we disagree.
Not So Silent Sisters. Just with the cat stuff.
That's all right, though.
But we'll get into it as we said.
So last week we read Ned 10. And
Ned was doing some dreaming.
Yo, it was a great fucking chapter.
And we got some Tower of Joy stuff and some Lyanna stuff. Yeah. And then Ned woke up and his poor leggy was hurt. And then we got a visit from the king and queen.
Cersei laid down some sassy
bitch
shit.
Ned and Cersei were having an epic staring contest. And it was fucking intense until Cersei literally got backhanded and then had to leave. And Robert threw the hand of the kingpin. The hand of the kingpin. I always think of Kingpin, the villain from Marvel, whenever I say it. But he threw the pin back at Ned and told him, you're my hand. Shut the fuck up. And
is it Marvel and not DC?
I'm pretty sure it's Daredevil, right? Kingpin's in Daredevil and Spider-Man, right?
I think you're right. I'm just double checking.
You scared me.
Because
I'm pretty secure in my...
I know. I was just...
But
it was more fun to see you panic for a second.
Kingpin's Marvel. Fuck you. Anyway, this week we are jumping... and again, there was a great quote in the Ned chapter of Sir Arthur Dayne and Ned Stark's where Sir Arthur Dayne says, and now it begins, and Ned Stark replies with, and now it ends. And we had mentioned the synergy and the connectedness of that line with this chapter today. The Not So Silent Sisters pointed it out, so we're really excited. I really enjoyed this chapter.
It was a stark contrast to the last Catelyn chapter, which we, not that we don't like everything that Martin is putting out. That one for us was probably the slowest and our least favorite of this book so far.
It's mainly because in chunks it would have been, I think, cooler and easier.
It was a long trip.
But she made the whole ascent in one chapter, and so it was just a lot to take in.
And this one though it's the
descriptions are awesome.
Yes, it's so good.
Let's just dive in. This is Catelyn 7 of A Game of Thrones, and so it opens with Catelyn watching the sun rise from the balcony outside of her room, feeling the mists of Alyssa's tears hitting her, and it's already, I love the description. It's this nice misty veil that Catelyn's overlooking.
Yeah,
the
with
sun,
this.
And this cool...
She can almost feel the mists there touching her skin, like that cool, wet air just breezing in on her.
And so we get a little bit more on this Alyssa Arryn figure, the statue, not statue, but figure in the mountains that the two waterfalls are coming from her eyes, so she's essentially crying. And we learn that Alyssa Arryn had seen her husband, brothers, and all her children slain, and yet in life she had never shed a tear. So in death, the gods decreed that she would know no rest until her weeping watered all of the lands of the Vale on the valley floor, where the men she loved were buried. However, she'd been dead for 6,000 years now, and not a single drop had actually reached said valley floor. And so
it's just it's a great myth. It's one of those great.
It's a really cool.
I'm a big fan of reading like the Greek mythology and the Roman, all that stuff where they like have these god and deities that are performing things that they just didn't understand.
And even later in this book series, Tyrion, about the wonders, the seven wonders, I believe, that he's obsessed with and always wants to see. Like, that lore, those monuments, these stories people tell.
And so it's just their twist on why there's these two waterfalls, and they happen to appear that way. So they give it meaning, and over 6,000 years, it fades to it's like the others.
Yeah.
And so there may be some truth to it for all we know.
And then there's also as we are full spoiler reread, the foreshadowing that Catelyn Stark is Alyssa Arryn, in that in death she becomes stone, but in life Catelyn Stark, and the Not So Silent Sisters pointed this out as well, and this was immediately one of my first notes was the Stoneheart reference. I actually just put what the fuck. And
so the Not So Silent Sisters worded it more like I did, where it's this mirror, this opposite version, where in life Alyssa could not and would not cry, where Catelyn does. But in death she's cursed essentially to weep for all eternity, whereas Lady Stoneheart, there's not a fucking tear coming from that woman's eyes. I don't think that she has tear ducts anymore. I think they got ripped out when she clawed her face off.
Yeah, it's such a haunting image of what Catelyn becomes in the first book in the fucking series.
So she snaps back to reality.
Well, there was just one more line on this where Catelyn wonders how large a waterfall her own tears would make when she was dead.
Yeah.
Like, just again with the Stoneheart foreshadowing, like, it's not going to be a waterfall, it's going to be a trail of blood. It's there, sweetheart. Yeah. Like, so yeah, Sir Roderick is he's been kind of briefing her, and he continues telling her that the Kingslayer is massing a host at Casterly Rock, and that Edmure had written to say that he sent riders to the rock demanding Lord Tywin's intent, but there had been no answer. So Tywin's, again, which he's been known to do.
He doesn't respond to these answers until he actually is prepared to...
a plan, knows what's happening.
So he has commanded Lord Vance and Piper to guard the paths below the Golden Tooth. And Cat jumps in here and says, well, only the Lord of Riverrun can... command the Bannermen to do things, which we got also from Bran's chapter as well, actually, that only the Lord of the House can call the Bannermen and do that. And so we find out that Lord Hoster Tully he's been bedridden for quite some time.
It said there was no mention of her father in this letter.
Yes.
And that Lord Hoster would not have given Edmure command unless he was very, very sick. And she was pissed because she said she should have been woken as soon as the bird arrived. I thought also there was just a very telling, at one point during this conversation, she turns away from the sunrise and thinks that the beauty of it is wasted on the ugliness that's going to be today. And I just, again, like with Kat and this foreshadowing of her just turning away from the beautiful sunrise and facing this conversation and then the battle that's going to happen. But so Roderick says that in response to Catelyn saying she should have been awoken as soon as the bird arrived.
Yeah, that
Roderick says Lysa thought it would be better to let Catelyn sleep. So the Maester had said that Lysa intended to speak with Cat.
Yes.
When
the combat was done, exactly.
So Catelyn says that she still plans to go through with this mummer's farce.
I like that she says Lysa let herself get played by Tyrion.
Yeah, the dwarf has played her like a set of pipes, and she is too deaf to hear the tune. Cat knows exactly what's happening, and she goes on to say even later, I haven't noted, but I think it's just appropriate now, that when Mord first came to them and said, hey, Tyrion Lannister wants to confess. She was like, do it to us.
Exactly.
Bring him to us in private so we can get his confession.
And she says it, and we mentioned it during that chapter. Yeah. Lysa wanted to make a show.
Yeah.
She wanted everyone there to witness this because she's so fucked in the head that she's convinced he's going to confess the crime.
Well, that's it. If Tyrion was brought to them and he did his little song and dance there, it would have been, oh, okay, so you're full of shit, so what are we actually doing here?
Yeah, exactly.
And then a conversation would have been had. And who knows where it would have gone from there. It could have resulted in him being thrown back in a cell or leaving with Catelyn for Winterfell, whatever. But Lysa being Lysa. So, anyway, back to where we were. She says that whatever happens this morning, it is past time we took our leave. My place is at Winterfell with my sons. And so the not-so-silent sisters, I'm going to pull up their email.
Here we go.
We're looking at you, Afton Brandy. So, they disagree with Cat here and say Catelyn needs to man up. She was so focused on her anger that she stupidly took Tyrion, but is quick to leave him behind rather than stand up to Lysa. Apologies. Catelyn tells Roderick that they will leave the Vale no matter what the outcome of the duel. Seriously, bitch? After all that trouble she's caused, she's fine with running away? Shameful. While I get what you mean, that she's quick to pounce, she's definitely looking for an out.
So we hope that you don't hate us, but where I stand on this is that, so I don't think that she was just being passive with Lysa. I think Lysa's completely irrational. The Blackfish told her, like, everyone sees it and knows it. She's crazy. And so she's tried to reason with her. And so she's not just backing down from Lysa. And so leaving, she's either going to be leaving and Tyrion's free because he succeeded, or she's leaving because he's dead. And either way, she's not in a good position there. I mean, granted, she's safe. It's a good place to hold up and, live out a siege.
How safe is she, though, with unstable
But
Lysa?
That's it, right. Because then it's going to be, if they do face siege, yeah, it's safe because you're in the Vale. But Lysa's going to say it's your fault for bringing that on her. She's going to be like, here, have her.
See, my thought process is a little more that, as the reread, we know that Lysa is the one who killed Jon Arryn. So is she really as insane as she's
she's pretending?
She's living it up because this is great for her. And Catelyn points this out a little later in the chapter where when she first sent the letter, Lysa names Cersei. And now, then all of a sudden she's so willing to settle with Tyrion because it helps clear this murder that she's done. So I really think that, and Cat doesn't know that obviously, but I really feel like Cat is just spooked by who her sister has become and feels unsafe, like doesn't trust that there's that sisterly bond anymore because clearly Lysa, as soon as Catelyn got here, took her prisoner and is just doing as she wishes and not listening to Cat at all.
She's in her home or whatever.
So she has the rule.
She has to. And so I think that's also another, the final factor is she wants to go home. She wants to get back to her kids, and there isn't anything else she can do here. And so I think she's got the right of it. She needs to get the fuck out of there as quick as possible.
I think, and we see some doubt from Roderick here in a little bit as well, but I think she's really doubting the validity of her taking Tyrion at this point. She's really
and so I meant to mention that
he actually did do it.
I don't disagree with the Not So Silent Sisters on that. I definitely think she
rash.
Jumped the gun.
Yeah, oh yeah.
She should not have taken Tyrion. There were much better ways to wait, get evidence, because he's he's not. He didn't do anything. He's innocent. And of this crime.
That's sort of why I do like Catelyn is because in the Not So Silent. We're not saying you're wrong because you had some great points.
And we could be completely
off.
But
I enjoy Catelyn as a point you made because she kind of comes in and makes these little messes and then moves on. Because, I mean, we get to see a lot of cool stuff. And yeah, I agree. Taking Tyrion was fucking dumb. It was rash. There were other ways out of that situation at the crossroads. And we all know it. And even Tyrion knows it. And I think at this point, she's really questioning it. Like, Lysa has her shaken. She's worried about her father now with all this news. She's worried about war in general. Ned, getting back to her sons. Her daughters are down in King's Landing with these Lannisters. So I think it's...
So with all that being said, we
we hope you don't hate us for disagreeing. We absolutely love that you had a different, like, we were so excited you had a different point, just because. So please keep writing in.
Yeah, please.
But anyway,
please continue.
Moving on.
So yeah, this is when Catelyn mentions that when Mord came to them, she had urged Lysa to have him brought privately, but Lysa needed her show. And so as her and Roderick, she had changed and had some the handmaidens that were given to her.
And she decided she wanted to try to talk to Lysa before the whole thing starts, see if she can't get this fucking cleaned up before it occurs. Yeah,
so as they're making their way through the Eyrie to, they're heading to Lysa's apartments, she says to Roderick that Lannister is my prisoner, and my sister must be reminded of that. And so that's sort of her goal heading in here. And so they get to the doors.
And out comes Brendan, the Blackfish.
And he's steaming.
He's pissed.
He's storming out.
And he goes, "Oh, have you come to join the Fool's Festival?" And he starts telling...
He gets savage. He says, I'd tell you to slap some sense into your sister if it would do anything other than bruise your hand. And... She immediately brings up Edmure's letter, but he already knows of it. He heard it from Maester Coleman, and he's not too pleased about that. And we find out that he asked Lysa for 1,000 men, 1,000 seasoned men, to ride for Riverrun at once. And her answer was that the Vale can't spare those men, Uncle. We can't even spare one sword.
And tells him, your place is at the gate, and that's where you need to be.
So she's basically forbidding him to go.
And he goes, and fuck this, throws a middle finger in the air. He's leaving for Riverrun right now.
I bid her to find a new knight of the gate. Blackfish or no, I am still a Tully. I ride for Riverrun this evenfall. And Cat really isn't surprised by this.
I love it when the Blackfish shows house pride.
Yeah, this is what he's...
So she says... That's my plan, too, is to leave today.
Yeah, we're bouncing. You should come with us.
If you come with us, I can give you those 1,000 men.
Riverrun will not fight alone.
And he says...
And Cat's pride enough, too.
Yeah, and I love it. And he's like, it's the longer route, but... All right, that sounds like a good idea. Agrees. I'll meet you down below.
Actually blew my mind because, like, when I was rereading for these notes, I was like, he doesn't go with them, and so I don't remember what ends up being the catalyst that changes his mind, or does he ride with them?
I was trying to think of that. I feel like he must go with them. I don't remember though because I don't know why I can't remember, but I was like, yo. That's
I feel like he
sick.
does show up in Rob's camp. I feel like that is a thing.
He's definitely there. I was talking with I don't even remember her name on Twitter. It's like her handle. I know that it's Arya Stark, but I don't know if it's I don't remember right now. I'll look it up and we'll give a call another time. But she posted a chapter of Cat and the Blackfish arguing in Rob's tent. In like Clash, and so he's definitely with them at certain points.
So maybe this is where he joins them.
I don't
because Rob.
We'll see.
The next time Cat sees Rob is when he's got his host and he's coming south. I believe. I don't think she makes it back to Winter. Yeah, she doesn't make it back to Winterfell. Fuck off. Anyway, here we are. So Cat isn't surprised. He says, yeah, and he says he's gonna wait for them below. I'm out this bitch. I'm not sticking around for this shit. And so. Cat and Roderick share a glance and like this, like, oh shit, here we go. And they enter the apartments. Yeah. And this is one of my favorite fucking things. The apartments opened over a small garden. It had the builders of the Eyrie had originally intended this to be the Godswood, but the hard stone of the mountain wasn't good soil and a werewood would never take. Yeah. So they made it into this kind of cool little garden.
It's a little park. I always thought of it as.
Yeah. Yeah. And it said that it's here that the two champions would meet and Tyrion Lannister's fate would be decided. So Lysa's sitting up there looking dapper. Yeah, they got all her jewels on.
That's it. And then little Robert Aaron's enjoying himself a lovely little puppet show.
Yeah, she's surrounded by her knights, retainers, high lords, low lords.
The ones that hold her attention the best at the moment.
I thought I just liked it that, dipshit Robert Aaron is on a wooden platform to elevate his chair. Yes. And he's being entertained by a guy in a hunchback puppeteer in motley, making two wooden knights hack and slash at each other, which I just thought was fun. Yeah. And so food and wine's being served, and Cat thinks a fool's festival, her uncle had called it, and yeah.
This was indeed that.
So Lysa is currently laughing at a jest of Lord Hunter's while nibbling at a blackberry from the point of Sir Lyn Corbray's dagger. This bitch is living it up with this suitor courting thing.
Exactly. They're just trying.
And so Kat goes through, well, like that. These were the suitors in Lysa's favor today.
Yeah, exactly.
But her whims change, like the fucking. I don't know a good simile here.
I think that Martin had one. But
I think so as well.
So
anyway, read the book. We're not doing it for you.
Not everything. We're just talking about it.
So then Kat goes through with a description of each of these two gentlemen. Eon Hunter was older than Jon Arryn had been, and he's half crippled by gout, and he's pestered by 3 just shithead sons, basically.
Yeah.
And Sir Lyn Corbray was lean, handsome, and heir to an ancient but impoverished house, vain, reckless, and hot-tempered, and notoriously uninterested in the charms of women. So he's just after some titles.
Your kind of guy.
Definitely. So when Lysa sees Kat, she gives her a sisterly hug and a moist kiss on the cheek, which just,
It's like that. I mean, it's funny because she is to a lot of the characters, the aunt, but I just think of that big aunt, or I have a particular family member in mind I remember as a kid that used to do that a lot to me. And so I just feel like that, but from this pasty, gross, sweaty palm.
See, I don't know.
You gonna be okay over there?
It's gross.
It's pretty vile. And so
I imagine like a kiss from an infant. Like just this gross.
I guess maybe like a
drooly snot.
A woman baby, like a weird it's like this infant child woman thing.
That'd be horrible.
That's what it is, and it's this slobbery mess of
there's just snot running.
So
down.
she asks. She tells Kat to try the wine.
Yeah, it's a lovely morning. The gods are smiling. Everything is awesome. And Kat's like, yeah, no, thanks. I'm good on the wine. We gotta fucking talk.
Right now.
And Lysa's like, later, and turns her ass away. And
Kat raises her voice and no.
Yeah.
Right now. Right now.
And it's louder than she intended, and people look, but she tells her, Lysa, you cannot mean to continue this folly. Alive, the imp has value. Dead, he's only food for the crows. And if his champion should prevail, and this is when Lord Hunter jumps in and says, small chance of that, my lady. Sir Vartus is a doughy fighter and will make short work of the sellsword. And Catelyn, I love it, because she's fired up.
So this is my quote. This is what I wrote down real fast. The knights all start being cunts and talking down to Kat. They don't know Starks are made of harder stuff.
I like it. Will he, my lord? I wonder, Kat says back to Lord Hunter. And she thinks that she had seen Bronn fight. He moves like a panther, and that ugly sword of his seemed to be a part of his arm.
And they're talking about how sellswords are cowards, and that, sure, when they're in groups of thousands and thousands of men, they can handle some stuff, but as soon as they have to have a fair fight 1 versus 1...
Lysa's suitors are crowding around them. Sir Morton Waynwood says, women understand little of these things. Sir Vartus is a knight. The other fellow, a coward at heart. So, Sir Morton Waynwood, is there... I'm circling him in my notes. Do we have reference of him dying at any point in this story?
I'm not sure.
Because he deserves to.
So yeah, so we should check.
What a fucking cunt!
Your pen doesn't work.
I guess it's just dead for right now. So there it goes. I'm circling his name again.
I really like that Kat, and it might be in your notes a bit more. I didn't really block this part out.
I'm not done with Morton here.
Oh, okay.
Like,
so it was to do with that.
Just to say that to Catelyn.
Well, that's women don't know. Well, that's what it is.
You patronizing cunt.
She breaks it down. She's seen
she does.
thousands of tournaments. She's watched the men training in her. Like, she's a lord's lady of fucking Winterfell.
Yeah, right?
She's not down in Highgarden. She's not over in, like, she's...
Whoa, don't be shitting on Marjorie.
I love me some Highgarden.
Fight in this booth.
And, like, look at the Lord of Flowers. Like, they got some motherfuckers that can do some shit.
True that.
But you won't see... It's more implied that the women in the North are harder.
Indeed.
And so... She's clearly got the experience of watching fights. Granted, she does mention that, you know, she does, and she's not trained herself. I don't think she.
Well, she even breaks it down further and says, "Say you're right. What do we gain from his death? will Jaime give a flying fuck that we gave him a trial?
Yeah,
or
exactly.
is he just gonna fucking think of the fact that we flung him off a mountain? Like, so Lynn Corbray shouts out, "Behead him. When the Kingslayer gets his head, it will be warning enough." And it's a shit show. Lysa shakes her head and says, "Lord Robert wants to see him fly." So
like that's so.
Like
I
that's
have
it.
one
Like
question
that's
before we move forward here. Are all these knights so dumb to look beyond that, and they actually believe that Ser Vardis is that much better without even considering, and they're just talking down this way, or are they doing it to appease
I think right
Lysa?
now it's courting and just, building up what she believes, confirming her. Because later, when the fight's happening, they do shut the fuck up.
Most of them
even
just
though
kind of
Lysa
realize what's
is
happening.
still
And,
in it and like, Servatis, do it! Even though he's like dead.
End him now,
Yeah.
Robert's bored.
And so, Lysa demands that Robert wants to see him fly, and that's the end of it. And she says that the imp can blame himself. He demanded the trial by combat. So Catelyn says, "I remind you that Tyrion Lannister is my prisoner." And Lysa says, "And I remind you, the dwarf murdered my lord husband." Of course, her voice is rising. She's making a show. She has an audience. "He poisoned the hand of the king, and now I mean to see him pay." And she turns and heads off across the little garden. So this is when Roderick asks Kat if she thinks Kat. No, my Jesus.
If she thinks that Tyrion did kill Robert Arryn himself.
That's
John
it.
Arryn, pardon me.
Even though Tyrion vehemently denies it.
And she's convinced that a Lannister was involved.
The Lannisters murdered
She's
John
not.
Arryn.
She's not necessarily. She doesn't think Jaime necessarily would have done it, just because he's more. Well, Roderick, I think, is the one that points out that Jaime is more likely
she's
to
like,
go.
whether it was Tyrion, Jaime, Cersei, or all three, she has no fucking clue. But this is when she also thinks Lysa named Cersei in the letter, but now seems set on Tyrion.
Yeah, this is when she mentions that point.
And said, perhaps because he's just here and the queen is behind the walls of the Red Keep. But Roderick then ponders poison. Do you really think it was poison? And Kat says, how else would they make it look so natural? And she thinks that, Tyrion could probably poison. He seems the type. Roderick says this. Cersei, poison is said to be a weapon, woman's weapon. Sorry, my lady. And Jaime, I don't really see it, so he kind of goes down it, and this is when Kat looks over at Robert,
who is laughing obnoxiously. Yo, this part blows me. This blew me away. This is so fucking cool. Robert's just obnoxiously laughing like a fool, and she starts talking about how he's a useless prat and will never be fit to rule the Vale if he isn't removed from here at once.
From his mother.
Is the main concept there, but all of a sudden,
Coleman,
little Meister Coleman's just like, yes, Lord John agrees.
And we find out he's getting fucking wine drunk. Yeah, he's got his little goblet and his shaky little
hands.
And
he's like, I fear this stuff is fucking great.
But he apparently overheard because he said, Lord Arryn agreed with you, my lady. And he said that
that's why he was going to have
Robert fostered at Dragonstone, which is skirt. Full spoiler reread. And just in our podcast, we have learned that Robert Arryn was supposed to be the talk we've heard
is that he's being fostered at Casterly
under
Rock.
Tywin Lannister.
Yes.
And Ned Stark ponders it and how like.
So I'm very upset with myself because I did go back through the book and I was trying to find who said that.
Yeah.
Was it Littlefinger who told us that he was going to be fostered there?
Did you find it?
I couldn't fucking find it because I had limited time when I realized
it. For some reason when I first think about because I can't recall, but I want to say Renly. I feel like
it could
Renly
that would
might
make
have
yes,
mentioned it.
and otherwise I know that Robert mentioned it in the first chapter, and Ned there maybe down in the crypts about fostering the
That's
kid.
right, yeah.
Because that's when we got that it was after, because Catelyn says, no, it was decided after he had passed.
Yeah.
And it was going to be at Casterly Rock, not at Dragonstone. And Meister Coleman corrects her. No, begging your pardons, my lady. But
it was Lord John who...
And then he gets interrupted.
Yeah.
Now, I am fully convinced at this point that John and Stannis, when they realized this stuff that was with the incest
Give me the boy,
and everything,
I'll take your
you
boy.
would be you're the next heir, technically. They saw that. If the king dies, those are not his children.
Which must be the plan.
Which means that you are the ruler. So we need to make sure that my kid is safe, not going to Tywin.
Not going to Tywin.
Because that's going to essentially give them a hostage.
Yeah.
They will have...
And the Not-So-Silent Sisters brought this up pretty much point for point as well, but... Yeah, it would give Tywin a valuable hostage, and it also would help set Stannis up. This boy would eventually be his squire, and be have a part at so it would tie the Aarons with Stannis in the kingdom exonerably, even though Jon Arryn already is. He's hand of the king. But it was this continuity.
And so it's this little subtle side chatter at a little party before a trial by combat that can be so easily overlooked.
Yeah, so...
That was all crafted by others.
Yeah, because Coleman's pretty drunk, and he's speaking out of turn, essentially, is what he says. But it's a bell tolling loudly that interrupts him, and everyone stops what they're doing and turns to watch as two guardmen lead Tyrion in the septon. There's a septon guiding him to the statue of a weeping woman carved in white marble, meant to be Lysa as she's weeping. And Robert shouts out that he wants to make him fly, and this is when the champions appear.
Yes, Bronn from one end and looking...
And in this corner...
So actually I think Vardis comes out first, and
Sir Vardis is steel from head to heel, encased in heavy plate armor, and he's got a ton of fucking adornments for the Eyrie and shit.
He's got the wings up on the helm, and he's got the crests and the this and that. Bronn, on the other hand, has a shirt of chainmail over boiled leather, some shin guards, and a half helm that has the little nose guard on it.
He's so lightly armored he looked naked beside the knight. Yeah. Yet he stands half a hand taller, and Catelyn just from sizing Bronn up can realize that he has longer reach than Sir Vardis.
See, in that I like how that's immediately contrasting what those idiots were saying to her. She's already noticing these advantages.
She knows how this is going to go.
And especially after seeing him fight. Now, I didn't realize he was that tall.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was because of just attributing it to Bronn in the show being a little on the shorter side compared to some, granted he's usually standing next to like the fucking mountain and shit like that, where tall
Tyrion.
People. Otherwise Tyrion. But everybody looks tall next to Tyrion, so maybe it just put that. But I forgot that, or didn't realize he's a tall motherfucker.
Yeah, he's
and
probably
like
6 foot something.
6'3", 6'4", I'm picturing.
So they kneel down in the grass here, this part was super interesting to me, with Tyrion between them as the septon lifts a large crystal sphere, and it hits a beam of light, and it causes rainbows to shoot out all over,
it's covering a prism,
Tyrion. And he asks the gods to bear witness to find the truth of this man's soul, and if they find him innocent, to grant him freedom, and if they find him guilty, to grant him death. And so the septon finishes and hurries away. Tyrion leans over and whispers something in Bronn's ear that makes him laugh.
As he stands up.
And
Tyrion skirts away to his little box.
Yeah, Robert's getting impatient. Sir Vardis is helped to his feet by a couple squires and given about a 4-foot tall shield. Bronn was offered a similar shield, but he spat and waved it away.
He knows how this is going to go.
Vardis is given a double-edged sword that's just got a crazy fucking pommel.
And we get another show.
This is when Lysa speaks up and, says, it was a blade I had made for Jon in King's Landing, not herself. I doubt she's forging this shit. And basically, it's beautiful, ornate, isn't it? And I thought it'd be poetic justice if you defended our honor with the sword, my husband, yada yada yada. Lysa's
you avenged his murder with his sword.
So Cat notes after Lysa gives this rousing speech that Sir Vardis is pretty uncomfortable looking, and probably would have been much more comfortable in his own armor.
I think this is when Roderick mentions it's later on when he's getting sluggish during the fight.
Yeah,
Roderick speaks up.
So Sir Vardis turns and salutes Sir Robert, little Lord Robert Arryn, with his sword and says, "For the Eyrie and the Vale." Bronn gives his own sword a little salute to Tyrion, and Lysa tells Robert that they're waiting your command, and he screams, "Fight!"
So can I also just point out that before we got Sir Vardis' big old great sword, Kat was talking about Bronn's sword, and that how sharp it.
Oh yeah, it looks like he works at it.
You can't even think about touching this fucking thing without cutting yourself.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah, it's sweet. Bronn obviously keeps his shit ready. And so it's on. Ding, ding! And they test each other for a bit. They come together, but immediately Catelyn can tell that Bronn is quicker, and he's staying just out of Vardis's reach.
Yeah, because at the start, Vardis is pushing the attack. He's starting by, swinging and going.
Giving a couple test swings, they parry.
With a great sword the size he's got, it's probably good to get into a flow.
So
and
Bronn
just
is backing off, and people begin to shout at him from the crowd to fight, stay in fight
I like
power.
that it mentions that as he's dodging around and jumping over the little rocks and stuff, he had a slight smile on his face.
Yeah.
He's enjoying himself.
Oh, yeah. And immediately, Roderick picks up on it, and he says that Bronn is getting Ser Vardis to chase him. He's trying to tire him out. A man wearing that much... Oh, I hit the table. A man wearing that much plate tires easily. Yeah. It doesn't matter who you are. And so, immediately, Roderick gets it. Kat gets it. She didn't really need the explanation.
And so this is where she gets that detail about the amount of fights she's witnessed and how knowledge she really is in this.
And so as she's watching them come together, she's reminded of another duel in a faraway land. Anyway, actually, I really like this, the way these fights are pretty similar, and I'll get to why in a minute. And it's still a fight. Like, we're not getting the fight scene. We're not getting a fight scene.
Right.
We're still getting it, and then we come in to see the end.
Yeah.
So she goes back to Riverrun when she's a little girl.
And now we've already heard about this fight from, Littlefinger and Ned quipping back in a few chapters back.
So it says that they had met in the lower bailey of Riverrun. When Brandon had saw that Peter wore only helm, breastplate, and mail, he took off most of his armor. Peter had begged her for a favor he might wear, but she had turned him down. She was promised to Brandon Stark by her father, Lord Hoster Tully, so it was to him she gave her blue hand scarf embroidered with the leaping trout of Riverrun. So, as she gave it to him, she pleaded,
begged him not to kill Peter Baelish.
He's only a foolish boy, but I've loved him as a brother, and it would grieve me to see him die. And so it says that Brandon had looked at her with the cool gray eyes of a Stark and promised to spare the boy's life in her honor. And so, I love that description. Brandon, the hot head. Yeah. So
this is the fight is my least favorite part of this flashback.
The fight was over as soon as it started. Yes. And it said that Brandon drove Littlefinger all across the yard. Brandon was a man grown.
I was gonna say he you can picture this fight. He's just relentless, just keeping Peter Baelish on the defensive. But
it's a direct contrast of the other fight
of the fight style.
The might and the little lithe dude is getting driven back, and they're doing the same thing. They're going through. They go down like the river thing, and
the difference being that Brandon took his armor off.
But
there's that direct the David and Goliath type
and it just says that he's driving Littlefinger around raining steel upon him, which I loved that.
Yeah,
until the boy was staggering and bleeding from a dozen wounds. Brandon had yelled at him to yield multiple times, but Peter would only shake his head and fight on grimly. Which, I
really like
respect that. Littlefinger. Shit. And so it says
it says a lot about his character with how he refuses to quit for something he wants, which if he's willing to take all of that, that's a lot to go
I just
through.
have to believe he's over Catelyn. That's not his end goal.
I think so too. I don't think he wants Catelyn anymore because of
she's
this.
Dead, but
that and he nearly died because of her, and she didn't give a fuck.
That's it.
And that's how it seems.
So it says that they were in the river, water lapping at their ankles, when Brandon finally ended it with a brutal backhand cut that sliced right through the rings and the leather, deep into the soft flesh below his ribs. So deep that Catelyn thought it was surely fatal, and Littlefinger would die. He looked at her as he fell, blood flowing between his mailed fingers, and he murmured, "Cat." And so, again, that devotion of him, fucking still. So, it said that a fortnight had passed before Peter was well enough to leave Riverrun, and we get the aftermath.
Now, so he was,
Catelyn was forbidden to see him, to enter the tower where he was being nursed back to health, but we find out...
Who nursed him back to
health?
That
Lysa helped the Maester nurse him back to health. She was softer and shyer in those days.
Yeah.
Which, from what we know,
now
did she take advantage? Because we know that she slept with him when he was drunk one night.
Well, here's the thing. He gets sent away
because of that.
Right after his rehab to go back to finish his rehabilitation, basically at his home in the Fingers. Is this when Tansy shit's going down?
That's what I'm thinking.
Because what would cause him to be like? He's just getting better. He's almost better. Why would he send him away to finish his recovery?
Yeah,
because he got.
He would send him away because he was pissed he challenged for Catelyn's honor over the marriage.
But I think it's more to do with that.
If it's not that, this is, I would believe, the start of the relationship where I think Lysa's, maybe doing some handies down under the blanket.
He's on some milk of the poppy.
Yeah, I don't think she's as shy and soft as Catelyn's thinking. I think she was just because she was obsessed with him then. She wanted to be around him, so... I think that's a huge little piece of the puzzle where Kat's really...
And Lysa's getting this one-on-one time with him, like directly overseeing him building that bond when she's that obsessed with him.
So it said that Edmure had called on Peter as well, but he sent him away as Edmure had squired for Brandon Stark in the fight, and Peter would never forget that. And so... As soon as he could, Lord Hoster had Peter sent away to finish healing on the Fingers where he was born. Just the little spit of land, windswept rocks. So Catelyn's jarred back to the present moment.
By the sound of Ser Vardis' sword coming hard at Bronn again.
Yeah.
Just pushing that attack still.
Yeah, Bronn is getting pressed pretty hard. Ser Vardis is coming at him, shield and sword, and... Bronn is checking each blow and moving backward over rock and root so lithely. Yeah. Cat thinks he's akin to a cat.
And so they end up fighting near the statue where the statue catches the blade quick.
Yep.
And Robert Arryn starts bitching, basically, that they're not fighting good.
Yeah.
And it's like, God, that kid, man. Ugh.
The lords start joking and throwing out jests, and Catelyn notices that Tyrion Lannister is watching the fight as if nothing else in the world existed.
So Lysa also called out that Bronn the sellsword can't run away forever all day, which she's oblivious to the fact that it's intentional.
So Bronn pops out from behind the statue and he manages to get Ser Vardis in the
helmet. This is it. This is the turn because he pops out and just starts laying into it.
Yeah,
this is where he's going.
He manages to fuck up his helmet and he starts hacking at his shield as well. And Vardis ends up losing Bronn due to this stupid, gaudy helmet that he's wearing that fucks up his vision. Lord Hunter tries to shout out, "Behind you, sir!" But too late. Bronn comes down, both hands fucking right in the elbow, and just slams him, crunching
where there's
the metal.
No armor in the right spot.
It's very lightly.
He got through it there,
And so Cat immediately sees blood just running down Ser Vardis' arm.
And so Bronn's not dodging anymore.
His blows start coming slower, and Bronn seems to be getting stronger, Catelyn says, and she starts seeing the deep gashes that are shining on Ser Vardis' armor from Bronn's super sharp sword. And they can hear his breath rattling through his visor. Vardis is looking rough.
Yeah, and Roderick points that out, but Cat didn't need it.
The lords and ladies see what's happening, but Lysa does not, and she shouts out that, "Finish him, Ser Vardis! My young baby grows tired!" And
this basically gives at least an adrenaline rush to Vardis. Because he does the one thing that Bronn did not expect and get that rush and charge.
He was true to his lady's command, and 1 second he's fucked up and his arm is bleeding and his sword is hacked and his shield is all hacked and he's having trouble raising his sword, and the next he's charging at Bronn, and he does catch Bronn off
with
guard.
The shield. He
almost knocks him off his feet, but Bronn jerks back at the last minute. The sword hits the marble statue and snaps clean, and Bronn then shoulders the statue, pushing it atop Ser Vardis and pinning him. It's so cool. It's such a cool...
So he then whips right around.
Bronn is on him in a heartbeat.
And just starts ending it.
Yeah.
He ends it.
He drives his sword under the arm, through the ribs, and Ser Vardis gives a shudder and a gasp and is dead, and there's silence. So Bronn takes off his hat.
I love this, and
his lip is all fucked up from where Ser Vardis smashed him in the face with the shield, and he spits out a tooth, and this is where we get the, "Is it over, mother?" And it says that no, Cat thinks she wanted to tell him it's only just beginning. Begun. Which, again, the Arthur Dayne quote.
Yeah, right, and the tie back and
sweetness.
It's so good.
So Lysa answers that yes, it is. And he says, can I make the little man fly now? And Tyrion says, not this little man. This little man is going down in the turnip hoist. Thank you very much. And Lysa cuts off and says, you presume. And he says, I presume House Aaron remembers its own words. As high as honor. And that. And Robert starts getting pissed and shaking and doing his thing. Lysa's furious, but
she says the gods have proclaimed him innocent.
We have no choice but to free him.
But she's oddly okay with this, almost. There's this calmness over her.
Take this Lord of Lannister and his creature here out of my sight. Escort them to the Bloody Gate. Set them free. See that they have horses and all the supplies needed, enough to reach the Trident, and release them. I'll let them fare on the high road. And Tyrion says the high road. And Lysa smiles just faintly, and Catelyn thinks it's another sort of death sentence, I suppose, with all the mountain clans and the shadow cats and all that shit.
Two of you are not going to be able to do it.
And Cat thinks that Tyrion must know this as well, yet Tyrion gives a little bow to Lysa and says, as you command, my lady, I believe we know the way. Do you know the way? And that's chapter end. Tyrion's out this bitch. And it was such a good chapter. Ser Vardis is dead, and it's a shame because he's dead because of his dumb bitch of a fucking lord, lady, whatever you want to have her.
But I mean, isn't that how most of the people in the series fucking die? Yeah. Somebody else's dumb idiocy.
But it was just, I mean...
Yeah, no, that's it.
Lysa, that's one of my favorite things about the weird, creepy bitch is, is she actually insane, or is she really just covering on her ass? Level is she just she's fuck it, let's pin this on the Lannisters. Regardless of what Lannister, let's roll this fucking gravy train.
I think that she's lucked into
I think it's luck as well.
Just that happens to line up, because I don't think... Littlefinger can turn things on and off, and she's
nowhere near on Littlefinger because she gets played
that's it.
By Littlefinger
and that's what
hard.
It is that she's not playing the game, she's living the life. Mm-hmm. She's enjoying the power from the game that Littlefinger's playing.
That's actually really good,
and it just happens to coincide with what she enjoys.
Anyway, you got an inductee?
Yeah, it was.
The Blackfish is who it is this time.
Just
I couldn't
waiting down there.
I didn't give it to him that last chapter, I think, that he was in with her. I forget who I gave it to then, but he deserves it this time just because fuck you, Lysa. I'm leaving. I'm going the fuck home. Your home, my home, and I'm going to bring some men to protect it. If not the ones that you give me, then at least fucking me. Peace.
True that.
And so, yeah, Blackfish is coming with us this time.
Yeah, for my inductee, I would have to give it, I guess. See, there's a lot of good ones.
There are a lot of good ones this chapter.
But, no, it's going to go to Bronn, because Bronn fucking handles it. From the get-go, he knows his plan, he knows his strategy, and he
wonder if
plays it.
What Tyrion whispered to him
That's what I really...
Push the statue.
It could be so many, push the statue, fucking,
You see this tin can?
A Lannister always pays his debts, whatever. And so, yeah, Bronn handled some shit and is making some smart choices.
He probably said there's hookers and whores at the bottom
that's
of
what
the
I
veil
mean.
when we're done.
Yeah, we're going to be getting laid real hard tonight type thing. But anyway... Those are our inductees. We did get some inductees from the Not So Silent Sisters. Again, hopefully you still enjoy our podcast and don't hate us. Anyway, Unsepta Brandy invites Alyssa Arryn into the sisterhood. She may not be physically there, but the similarities between her and Kat are really interesting. We may need to check out A History of Westeros for a bit more info on this woman. I agree.
So, History of Westeros is dope. Definitely check them out regardless.
Absolutely.
But otherwise... I think that's a great one just because...
I love the story, yeah.
We're definitely not against... she made an appearance, even if, like you said, it's not physical. Yeah, no. And we've done that as well. We've brought in old brands and, all sorts of nonsense.
And old brands and old nans.
And old nans. That's what I didn't want to go there, but I did. You did. One of us did. Unsepta Afton inducts Sir Vardis Egan because of his valor and loyalty, even if it is directed towards a woman who is, by all rights, fucking batshit insane.
Sir Vardis almost got mine as well.
Yeah, so that's a really good one as well. I always appreciate those kinds of, he's just an honorable guy doing his duty.
Definitely, yeah.
He's not a bad guy, and he was the one out of all
who
of the lords
didn't want to fight Tyrion.
Who was not wanting to. He had the decency to be like, it'd be a slaughter if I killed him.
Yeah, that's
and
not
decency.
Wanting it.
She made him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, fuck you, Lysa Arryn.
Yeah, Lysa got him killed. That's what sucks, because I'm sure he's a decent human being.
Hopefully him and Ned get to have some drinks in the Seven Heavens.
The Ned, Arthur Dayne, if Arthur Dayne isn't actually Cold Hands, because I might be working on some theories that the Cairns might be empty at the Tower of Joy, and potentially not everyone died there, but maybe came to an accord. I don't know. I got to do some more research, but, that's sort of the tinfoil I'm working on.
It's getting
if anybody knows of any theories that already exist out there about that, please send them our way, because I'd love to pop a glance.
And you can send them our way by writing us an email at withoutmannersbrotherhood@gmail.com, or you can send us a message on Facebook. We have our facebook.com/brotherhoodpodcast. We are on Instagram at Brotherhood Without. I'm on Twitter at Manners Without. Zach is on Twitter
Carstark92
at Carstark92 is what he said, if you don't speak jackass.
Nope.
And we have our Patreon, patreon.com/withoutmanners. We're on Spotify, iTunes. It's not iTunes anymore, Apple Podcasts. Leave us a rate and review, subscribe, all that. Definitely leave us a review, though. We love those reviews.
Hell yeah, we
those
do.
Out.
Guess what?
What?
Next time we're heading to Johnny Boy.
Yeah, it's finally
Johnny Boy Snow.
As great as the King's Landing and the Vale's been, it's been a lot of Cat and a lot of Tyrion.
We're heading back to the Wall.
So we're heading to the Wall, heading north.
All in all, John's just another brick in the wall.
Just another one.
Valor de Harris.
Peace. What's up, everybody? It's Nate here from Brotherhood Without Manners. I'm just going to sneak in and tell you really quick about this sweet app called Podcoin. If you listen to podcasts at all, especially Brotherhood Without Manners, all you have to do is download this app, download our podcast, put in the code Brotherhood, and you will get 300 coins, and you can spend those coins on all sorts of cool stuff. Gift cards, donating to charity, whatever. So give it a try. Let us know if you like it. We really enjoy using it for our podcast listening. You can get free stuff, so why not take advantage of something you already do? Anyway, back to the episode.